All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And as you can see, it says origins of Caucasians, origins of white people. So we're going to get right into this.
Here's show you guys some of the documents showing the white races of Europe. And we can get a better perspective as to who the Moors were fighting. These are the albinos and the beasts of Europe. And the Moors were fighting these people for hundreds of years prior to the so-called transatlantic slave trade. And one interesting thing I wanted to show you is that when you look at these beasts and albinos and how they have achieved what they've been able to achieve in just a few hundred years, keeping in mind that they were considered wild men just a few hundred years ago, and they had no last names. Many of them didn't even have first names. And I wanted to show you this because I found this very interesting. If you see here the wild men, and you look at the clothing that the people are wearing to the left, you can see here they're wearing this clothing to cover up their hairy bodies. So I found that very interesting. And something else I found in the British Library was one of the oldest genealogy charts, one of the first ones made for white people. And as you can see at the bottom of that genealogy chart, you see two wild men. So they're showing that their ancestry comes from the caveman. So that should give you something to think about, considering that just a few hundred years later, today, we have people like the Queen of England who claim to be of the royal bloodline of Egyptians and Cushites who ruled the earth. They even found the remains of a boy who was buried at Stonehenge in Europe. He was buried in Europe, but he actually came from the Mediterranean Sea in Africa. And he came to Europe 3,500 years ago. So that's in 1500 BC. So we're told that the Moors arrived in Europe in 700 AD. I'll show you guys some.
Alright, so as you can see, Esau's true history is actually being shown to the entire world. And we're seeing Esau for what he actually really is, for what he originally was and will be eventually soon, right? As you can see, Esau is hairy all over, right? Like a hairy garment. And the thing is, if you notice today, the so-called white people who are really Edomites, they have a lot of hair on them. They grow hair from their back, everywhere, right? From the a whole bunch of hair everywhere. While Jake, right, a so-called black man, is usually quite smooth, right? He may have a little bit of hair, but he's actually very quite smooth compared to Esau. And the thing is, what this woman brought out was that just a few hundred years ago, Esau was living like a, well, wild man. And the astonishing thing is that he went from a wild man to having, right now, in modern history, the most advanced, powerful empire ever, pretty much. So we're going to get out the scripture. It says in Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. It says, "This matters by a decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giving it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over the basest of men." Right. So we know that, Yahweh is really the one that gives kingdoms, takes away kingdoms, and set up kingdoms. And he even can give rulership to the basis of men, Esau, Edom. Right, which just shows you how great Yahweh is, right? And he's shown you that with the basis of men, you see how incredible the technology is on this side. But imagine when Jacob comes to rule, right? So we're here. Mm. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So you know that right now we're living in the end of the world, where Esau is in rulership. But we see the crumbles and the cracks in Esau's armor and in his walls and in his kingdom. Because the thing is, a few hundred, what's it called? 100 years ago, we actually didn't know anything about Esau's history. A few hundred years ago, we always thought Esau was white, right? When I say a few hundred, I mean 100 years ago. 100 years ago, we always thought Esau was white. 100 years ago, right? We we always thought Esau had these great inventions, right? But now, since we're coming to the end of Esau's empire, we know that Esau wasn't always white. He just masqueraded himself as white, right? Esau really is just translucent and red, right? We know that right now, since the world is ending, Esau's true history is really the basest of men, the border of wickedness, as a, and originally he was a wild man, and that's a state he is going to come back into, right? And we also know that Esau actually stole a whole lot of inventions from Jake, but he claims it as himself. So we know that in the end of this world, we are seeing Esau for who he truly is: a fraud, a destroyer, a thief, and a killer. And it's only a matter of time when Yahushua comes to destroy Esau that we, right, of the seed of Jacob, will rule and will rule forever. So I just hope that this lesson is edifying to the elect and hopeful elect, and 144,000. And all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh, and thank you to elders, apostles, and brethren, teachers, truth, and shalom.